About a month ago, I made a huge mistake. Allow me to give you a bit of the details. I exposed one of my family members unintentionally, but the action was done. There was no way back. When I saw my mother's face, I knew I could not be justified and press the "it wasn't me" button. My mother and my stepfather talked with me. When they told me to sit down and listen, I got awfully nervous. They told me what could have happened, how the situation could have been worse in every possible different scenario. I felt ashamed, thinking what could have happened if I never did it. I understood that I needed to be taught a lesson because of what I did. Instead of ignoring the mistake, my decision was to learn from it and to never do it again. What else did I learn? I learned that the big mistake I made could not be undone, so I had to take responsibility and to never do it again. I do not mean to punish myself, but I am fully aware of my actions. We are constantly living around our mistakes, but we can actually learn from them. What happens when we try to get something from them? We learn what happened when we do the action. We learn to not do it again. And what happens when we don't? Well, we continue making the same mistakes on, and we won't stop until life itself teaches us to do so. So that's why it is very important to learn from our mistakes and to not let them pass. As teenagers, we tend to repeat the same mistakes. And the worst of all is that we won't face the consequences. We're living with that voice always telling us, "You're right. We're right." They're not right. We are. And we believe that awful lie. But maybe instead of that, we could just learn from our mistakes. The only real mistake is the one from which we learn nothing. A significant quote from Henry Ford that states my point. Making mistakes is part of growing as a person. Now, I need you all to close your eyes. Please do. And think of the worst mistake you've ever made in your life. It doesn't matter if it's shameful, if it's full of regret, or maybe it gives you pride. And you will ask yourself, will my future self have to apologize for this? As for me, my worst mistake I've ever made was the one that I talked about before. Why? Because it did not only affect me, it affected other people, people I love. Now you can open your eyes and allow me to go on. Let's talk about how decisions can change our future. Most of the times, we don't do what is right unintentionally, but sometimes we decide to do wrong. As teenagers, we must think in our future selves and act accordingly. Speaking for myself, it is something really, really difficult and, of course, a hard thing to do. I am in favor of having fun and free time, lots of free time. But I also think that our thoughts must not always be in, "I think the video game is so cool, I must get it later," or "I want a new phone, I must get one." We need to act for ourselves and for our future. Not thinking in our future can lead to bigger and worse mistakes. Please don't get me wrong. I do like those activities. I actually love them. But it is just that suddenly years pass and it is time for you to go home and be an independent grown-up. What will you do? What about all the skills you did not develop? Our decisions matter in every way in our life, even the bad ones. Our actions stay with us for the rest of our lives, even if you forgot them or are trying to. We have the chance to move from ignoring to learning. And we need to learn, we need to use that chance that life gives us. Oscar Wilde clearly said, experience is simply the name we give to our mistakes. And what does that mean, you may ask? It means that every single time we make a mistake, we can learn something new. We learn to never do it again and to change our minds. There are reasons why we act that way. Psychologists have identified that happens to you, to me, to every single teenager. So, if I make a mistake, can I learn from it? Yes, of course I can. I can now, and I will always have the option to learn. Our best teachers in life are mistakes. And what about the next time I'm about to make a mistake, like when I exposed my family member? Well, I'll remember that I promised to never do it again. I learned what happens when you do the actions without thinking. I didn't just get grounded. I grew up. I got my very own upgrade. This led me to a very simple and common, but also uncomfortable word, accountability. I realized that accountability is not a punishment. It is a skill. I am certain that mistakes help us grow, make us learn, and lead our future selves to be better. Thank you for listening.